Okay, so we're live on Facebook. That's good to hear. I'm really pleased to hear that. Okay, so we're TTM English, and we're here today as part of the OET All-Stars to do a bit of grammar that will be useful for everyone, not just people who are studying OET, but definitely useful for OET. And we've got some good examples that are set up for OET. So yeah, we're TTM English. Good to see you all. I hope wherever you are, you have some nice weather. There's been flooding and lots of snow, heavy snowfall yesterday night in Manchester. So it's a bit extreme over here. And when it snows in the UK, everything stops. No schools, no work. It's just a strange time for it to happen in the middle of a national lockdown as well. So I'm here with some of the students from TTM English in Zoom, and I know that you guys are out there on Facebook. If you want to say hi, please do say hi, and I will give you a shout out. So if you're in Pakistan, if you're in the Philippines, if you're in Bolivia, if you're in Australia or America or the UK or wherever you are, say hi. We're happy to say hello and call out. Hopefully today will be interactive up to a point. I know that on Facebook, you guys can only type, and the guys in Zoom with us here in one of our usual classrooms, they can say things a bit quicker. There is a bit of a delay, but we will try our best to get some of your answers in as well. So what are we doing today? We are going to look at causes. Very important. So I do have a document here that we're going to work on, a study document, but at the moment there is not a lot on it. So I'm going to be eliciting from the guys in the class. I'm going to be asking the guys in the class to give me some information. So first of all, criteria for OET writing. At TTM English, what do we think is the most important criterion? What do we focus on the most?
Purpose.
Purpose. You've got to be careful with that pronunciation. If you say porpoise, it's this. Do you know what one of those is? It's like a dolphin. It's like an animal that swims in the sea. No, so purpose. Purpose. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got purpose. Anything else? Any other criteria?
Content.
Content. Yeah. Okay. Content. Yeah. I'm happy with that. Next.
Conciseness and clarity.
Conciseness and clarity. It's almost two different criterias together, isn't it? Conciseness and clarity. Okay. Keep going.
Language.
Language.
Well, I always put language at the end. I put the way I think of the criteria, I always put language at the end. What do you think should go here?
Genre and style.
I'm going to put that one there, genre and style. I always put, this is how I organize it. Maybe I'm a little bit... Organization, yeah. Organization and... Layout. Okay, yeah, so this is how I organize the criteria. All right, so who have we got here? We've got people from Ecuador, Philippines, Pakistan, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I think that is, South Africa, Sudan, India. Superb, well done. Good to see you all. Now, purpose for us at TTM is the key. You know, if we think about the whole point of OET writing, you're here to write a letter so somebody can do their job, just like in real life. So there has to be a purpose. It's not like a letter to your friend where you're just saying, oh, yesterday I dreamt of a cloud. It's not like that. There's a purpose. You are trying to get this patient to receive this care. Okay, so purpose is huge. Content is huge, really important. You've got to make sure that you've got all of the vital information and that it's accurately presented. We've got conciseness and clarity, which I said before is two kind of things for me. So can anyone tell me, what do you think conciseness and clarity, what are the two parts to that? It's a trickier one, isn't it? So conciseness, obviously, that's what we're going to be looking at today, isn't it? Conciseness, is that about saying things in a long way or a short way?
A short way, meaningful.
Yeah, so it has to have meaning, but it has to be direct. Yeah, so if it's concise, it has the meaning and it's direct. But the clarity side of it is an interesting one, because also in conciseness and clarity, you lose points if you include information which is not important, is not relevant. So we don't want that. So that's important. Organization and layout, again, is two. So you've got a letter format, haven't you? Where you put the address and things, and then you've got paragraphing. But organization also has an impact in terms of, well, are you telling them about the requests that you need them to do at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end? Is that all disorganized and in different places? We don't want that. Genre and style. Tell me about this. The patient is fat. Is that okay?
No.
No.
What's wrong with that?
It's informal.
It's informal. I suppose it is.
Formal.
It doesn't sound professional, does it?
Yes.
It doesn't sound professional. And then our style, obviously, we need to have this really good formal, well, not academic, but formal
And
style
also
of writing.
to be polite, because
Yeah, of course.
it's overweight, you are a little bit rude.
Yeah, we need to be polite. You're absolutely right. And then language, we're talking about the kind of vocabulary that we're using. But what else is included in language?
Grammar mistakes.
Well, grammar. Yeah, sometimes it might be mistakes. Yeah, okay. So just give me a few examples of some of the grammar mistakes we hear.
Tenses.
Say that again.
Tenses.
Tenses, yes, Han. Okay. Akhtar, any other grammar mistakes that you can think of? Tenses. Articles, yeah. The passive might be there as well. Also, in language, we have something called punctuation. Punctuation, of course, yeah. Punctuation. Okay, so I'm going to ask Jasmine, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Jasmine. Now, if we talk about causes, sentence structure, okay, what do you think that can affect sentence structure? What kind of criteria do you think it can affect? First, obviously, it must be language, mustn't it? If you make mistakes with sentence structure, language is going to be affected, isn't it? So your score might drop down a little bit. Anything else?
Let's say maybe you were talking about something which did not come as a result of a cause, like you misuse it.
Okay, so you might misrepresent what's happening.
Yes.
Okay, so there could be a content problem. Yeah, you're right. Anything else?
Conciseness and clarity.
Yeah, because if you're combining case notes, then what you're doing is you're making your writing more direct, more concise. You're not saying she has asthma. She uses a Ventolin inhaler for her asthma. You're putting those things together, aren't you? So you're making it more concise and more direct. Definitely. Okay. All right. Now, genre and style, I think, also are affected by it. If you can combine these case notes together, you're going to sound more professional. Okay. You're going to make it much easier for the reader. Okay. So I think it's going to be more like that. And if you do these things better, purpose is definitely going to be influenced. So overall, the purpose of your letter is going to be influenced. So let's go to the basics. All right. Let's go to the basics here. Can I have, please, from you guys, some phrases that you think, they could be conjunctions, okay? They could be types of conjunction phrase. What would we use to connect case notes together that show cause?
Linking words, for example, like because.
Because is a good one, yeah, but everyone knows because. Some people say, oh, I shouldn't use because. I don't know why. But due to is a good one, yeah.
As a result.
Well, okay, so let's have a look then. So we've got as a result, okay.
And as a result.
For which. And
in
as
which.
a result, okay.
Because of.
Due to, we've got due to already. We've got because of already, okay.
Despite.
About which.
Okay, so let me stop there. Good work. Now, some of these definitely are not going to work for us. For which is not showing a cause. Okay, she has asthma for which she uses an inhaler. Well, that's not the same as because. Okay, she uses an inhaler because She has asthma. Okay,
She
we
has
can
an
do that.
asthma. Mm.
But for which is when there's a problem or a condition in the first clause of a sentence, and then you say something. So we're not going to use for which.
Solution.
We're also not going to use as a result. No, we're going to say something different.
They are contrast.
Yeah, despite is contrast. We're not going to use that. As a result of.
Can we
can
use
do that.
as well as?
No, as well
No.
as is going to add information. Okay, we can't do that.
As a consequence of.
As a consequence of, well, that would be pretty much the same, wouldn't it? As a
Yeah.
consequence of, yeah. And also owing to is a good one. About which we're not going to do. We're not going to do. So let's just think about these ones. Let's think about these. Okay, so we've also got subsequently. Some people have said subsequently. Can anyone think of a word which is very, very similar to subsequently?
Consequently.
Subsequent.
Consequently, yeah.
Consequently.
Consequently is a very, very similar one. Now, consequently and subsequently, they don't really deal with what came before, do they?
Following.
They deal with what comes after. Again, so we're not going to look at those ones today either. When later on, maybe next week, I think, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have another session and we'll look at results. But today we're looking at causes because this is where it all begins. Now, I've got another box here. I've got another box. Can anyone tell me what they think that this box is for?
Sample sentence.
The noun phrase or.
Anna, you're absolutely right. This is not the place for example sentences. We'll look at some of those later on, okay? So instead, what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to tell you a little about verb clauses and noun phrases. Okay, so a verb clause, if we go back to the grammar that we've been doing in our grammar class this week, what does a verb clause consist of? We're going to have a subject or object, and then plus
verb.
A verb. Okay, now there might be an object at the end of that. We don't know. Possibly. Okay. Okay. It might be a case that we have an object at the end, and there might not be. Okay. Now, if it's a noun, it's going to be a bit different. This is going to be a noun phrase, so it's going to be a collection. It's going to be a noun plus a verb or a noun plus a gerund. So if we have a look at that now, so it's going to be a collection of words which acts like a noun. Okay, so subject verb. Give me a subject verb, Anna, please.
I eat.
What do you eat?
Sandwiches.
I eat sandwiches. Okay, so notice you can't just say I eat, can you? Why can't you say I eat?
Because it's
transitive. Yeah, it's a transitive one, isn't it? Yes, okay. I eat sandwiches. That's great. Okay, so if I was going to look at because, would I use a verb phrase or a noun phrase with it?
Noun phrase with because.
I am, okay, I am healthy because I eat sandwiches. Okay, so because is going to be with a verb phrase afterwards, or a verb clause. It doesn't really matter what we call it, guys. What's important is that we know that this in the middle is because, and before it we've got a nice verb clause, subject verb, I am, and afterwards we've also got I am. So because is going to work there for us. So because is followed by, and we'll put this in yellow, a verb clause. Now, let's look at these guys here. Due to, as a result of, as a consequence of, owing to, because of. What do those phrases end with?
With a noun phrase or verb phrase.
Well, what do they end with?
Noun.
Prepositions. They end with prepositions. So we're going to use, I'm not going to call it a noun clause. It's going to be some kind of noun phrase afterwards. Okay. That's what we're going to have here all the way down for all of these. It's a bit strange. So, collection of words which acts like a noun in a sentence. Now, what happens when we turn verbs into nouns?
Gerund.
Gerund,
ING.
INGs, yeah. Okay, so if I put Anna is healthy, that's a subject verb, isn't it?
Yes.
Subject verb, okay. Now, we're going to have a look at different things here, okay? But it could be as a result of eating sandwiches. Yeah, exactly. As a result of. So as a result of is going in here. But eating sandwiches now is our follow-up. Okay. We don't have a noun phrase there. So in this case, we'll give that a slightly different color. Let's make that one blue. So we start with a normal kind of subject verb. Then we use the linking phrase. And then at the end, we've got our cause, which comes after. So it's a bit strange because normally you put a cause at the beginning, but in this case, we're going to be putting the causes at the end. The result's going to come first. I am healthy is the result. And then I eat sandwiches is our cause. Eating sandwiches is our cause. It's a noun instead of being a verb phrase. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at a few of these. I've got some examples set up. Does anyone have any questions at the moment about what we've done here? Okay, good. Okay. We will see that there are going to be some things like this as a result of her. Okay. We'll have a look at that later on. Okay. All right. Let's look at because and as. Okay. Because and as. As is a strange word, isn't it, in English? Because as has multiple functions. We were looking at comparatives last week. Alan is not as tall as Paul, but Paul is not as intelligent as Alan. Okay, so we're using as there in those cases. I am the same as you. Okay, at the same time as something else. But in this case, okay, in this case, we're using it in the same way as because, and they need the verb phrase. So if we look at Mrs. Jones, what do you think Mrs. Jones's problem is?
UTI, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So Pradeep, are you there? Pradeep?
Yes.
Hi, Pradeep. Okay. What does URTI mean?
Upper respiratory tract infection.
Okay. Super. Right. Okay. So I'm going to give everyone just 20 seconds. Okay. 20 seconds to write me a sentence. Post it in the chat box. Everyone's got 20 seconds to write me a sentence that can connect those to get those two ideas together, antibiotics and URTI, with because or as. It's just 20 seconds, guys. It's not a long time. We'll analyze it. Okay, so here's an example. First one. Don't forget, everyone, guys, on Facebook, feel free to send your sentences in, and we'll post them in the class. Okay, so let me make this a bit smaller. Okay. Okay, interesting. So I'm not looking for and as a result or any of those kinds of things. Remember, we're looking for causes today. We're not looking for results. Okay. Now, okay, so we've got a few little things. Now, I've said many times that when you focus on one part of language, you find that another part doesn't work so well. So we've got some here. Okay. Okay. Ninu Thomas. Okay, we've got a sentence here from Ninu. Let me just get this posted and we'll have a look at a few of them and see if I can find some different ways of looking at it. Okay, now, isn't this interesting? This is very interesting. Nobody has used an article. Nobody's used an article. Okay, so Mrs. Jones was prescribed. That's okay. Can I put any word in between prescribed? With, if I want to, but I don't have to use it. Okay, so Mrs. Jones was prescribed antibiotics because he has. Oh.
She has.
Because she has. Now, don't you think I should be putting an article here? Now, is it or an? Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you would say URTI, wouldn't you? Are you going to say upper respiratory tract infection, or are you going to say URTI?
On.
Well, it's up to you. So, Krina, what would you say? If you saw that written on a piece of paper, would you say she's got a URTI or an upper respiratory tract infection?
URTI.
But would you say URTI or would you say the full?
The full.
The full upper respiratory tract.
Okay. So if you, well, in that case, we have to write it. So it would be an upper respiratory tract infection. It would be an. So why would it be an here?
Because of vowel.
Because of the vowel. But listen to the sound. Remember that the vowel, using an is before a vowel sound. Okay.
Yes.
So is this a vowel sound? U.
Yeah.
It's not, is it? You would say URTI. I know it's crazy, isn't it? It's all about the sound. Now, I assume here this was just a spelling mistake by accident. Okay, so Mr. Jones, okay, this is nice because in the middle, that's great. Now, notice what's happened here. I didn't ask for this, guys. Straight away, we started using because of. I can't remember. Is because of going to be here? No, we won't. Okay, so we'll have a look at because of. Because of has to be followed with what? Sorry, guys?
Noun.
So that's okay. I'm happy with that. We've got URTI. That's fine. If here we've got because, that's okay. He has or an? Okay. If you use the full, okay, if you're going to say upper respiratory tract infection, give me an. If you say URTI, give me an a. Okay, so nobody's done it. So we've got because of, we've got because. I like the use of the passive here. This is good. Now, how about this? Mrs. Jones has been taken. Where is she? Where's Mrs. Jones? Do you know where Mrs. Jones is? No, because
someone takes Mr. Jones.
Yeah, somebody has taken Mrs. Jones. Okay, so this what needs to happen with this verb here? It needs to be
taking.
Yeah, and
present
don't forget
perfect continuous.
It's present perfect continuous. You're absolutely right. He was prescribed with antibiotics as. That's great. I like it. As he has a URTA, and Mrs. Jones uses antibiotics as she has a. It's just the same, isn't it? Really? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so we can focus on the fact that she was prescribed, or we can focus on the fact that she was taking. That's great. Okay, no problem at all. Well done. So we can see here very, very simple sentences. She has. That's our subject verb, isn't it? She has. Did I use that, or did I use green? I think I used yellow, didn't I?
Sorry, Paul.
Yep.
What if we just used the past perfect continuous tense? Mrs. Jones had been taking antibiotics as she had diagnosed with upper respiratory tract.
You can't say she had diagnosed, because that means that she did the diagnosis. She had diagnosed somebody else. She had been diagnosed. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a class about past perfect, but you're right. The way you've used it's fine. Yeah, the past of the past. You're right. So look at the difference, guys. Okay, a URTI is a noun, isn't it? So that's a noun phrase that we're going to put after because of. URTI.
Okay.
It's a noun. So that's the difference. When we use because, let's take because of and put it down here and make it separate. We're following with a noun instead of a verb phrase. In this case, she has is here. Okay.
Sorry, Paul, can I ask, I missed the explanation. You said when we use the full name of URTI, we need to use N.
Yeah.
But if we use the abbreviation, we need to use the reason is...
The reason is, are you asking me for the reason?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so it's the sound, isn't it? Okay, just very, very quickly, look at this word. And look at this word. Okay, now what letter do they begin with, those words?
H.
H. But they don't sound the same, do they? Because you say a house and you say an hour. Now why? The reason why is because of the sound. What's this sound?
Silent. Oh no, the
Here.
wait.
It's h, isn't it? H. That's not a vowel sound, but this is an ow, isn't it? Ow.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's almost like the H is not there. So in the English mouth, the English speaking mouth, it's easier for us to say an hour, and it's connected. Okay.
Yeah.
But with house, to say an house is hard to say. So we say a house. It's easier.
Oh, I
but
see. Yeah.
if I said a hour, it's not easy. So when we go back up and look at URTI, that's not a vowel sound, but upper, is a vowel sound. So we say an, no, but here we can't say an, you. It doesn't work for us.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
reason.
Paul.
Okay, no problem. Good question. Okay, but let's just get back to it. Because and because of, okay? These are phrases. They're because is a conjunction and because of is, we call it a conjunction phrase. It's two words, but it has the same meaning. The thing that it has different is the fact that after because, we've got a nice verb phrase, and after because of, we've got a noun. Okay, so we'll go and look at some more in a bit more detail now. Okay, so don't forget we do classes like this all the time, guys. Okay, owing to. Now, just remind me again, owing to. Do I follow owing to with a verb phrase?
Noun.
Or with a noun?
The noun phrase.
With a noun. Okay, so let's do this one together. So tell me about Mr. Gardner. Would you say he's healthy?
No.
No, he's not. He's obese, isn't he? Okay. So let me think about this. You would say Mr. Gardner is obese, wouldn't you?
Overweight, teacher.
Yeah. So is one of these verbs in English, isn't it? It's like a linking verb that we can follow with an adjective. Mr. Gardner is happy. Mr. Gardner is sad. Okay. Mr. Gardner is obese. Now, he has been encouraged to reduce his sugar consumption. That will help with his, what's the noun of obese?
Obesity.
Overweight.
Okay. Not overweight. No, overweight is also an adjective.
Obese, yes.
Yeah. So that could be overweight there. Okay. Now, yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes.
It's correct. Owing his obesity.
Oh, okay. Wait a second. Okay, Karina, we haven't got there yet. Okay, I'm just going through the grammar. All right. So let's hold it. It sounds like you're on the right path. Okay, so we know that he is obese. We know he's overweight. So where's the verb again? Tell me.
Is.
Yeah. That's our verb. So this is what we need to change because this is the cause, isn't it, of this?
Yes.
Being encouraged to reduce sugar consumption doesn't cause you to be overweight. It's the other way. It's being obese. So we need to turn this into a noun phrase. So let's start with Mr. Gardner. Mr. Gardner has been encouraged to reduce what?
His.
Verb conversion.
Thank you.
His sugar.
Don't forget these possessive adjectives, guys. Okay. To reduce his sugar consumption. Now, owing to.
His obesity.
No, I suppose you could say his obesity. You could do that. Yeah.
Obesity. Just
yeah. But yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want you to put being obese. I want you to put here, and this is going to seem really strange, him.
Being
obese. Being obese. Okay, now this is we call this the object pronoun. And you'll see this, okay? You'll see this when we look at a couple of other examples. Let's look at let me just see what my I tell you what we'll do. I'll give you a different one because we've done the antibiotics one. Let's put Mrs. Jones surgery. And then we'll put broken wrist instead. Okay, so we've got one here. Mr. Gardner has been encouraged to reduce his sugar consumption owing to him being obese. Now, what about this one? Okay, surgery and broken wrist.
Mrs. Jones.
Okay, oh, wait a second, 20 seconds. Okay, I'm going to give you 20 seconds to write me a sentence. Again, get it into the box up here, please. Okay, starting now, 20 seconds. Anyone on Facebook, please do suggest a sentence. Okay, we've got different options here. Okay, different options. Thank you, Alexandra. Let's have a look at some of the submissions. Okay, that's 20 seconds already. It's such a fast amount of time, isn't it, guys? Have we got any more? Okay, George, thank you. Facebook, please do suggest some sentences. Interesting from Chow, something a little bit different. Yeah, okay, let's have a look at this one. So let's have some from Facebook as well, please, guys. Yeah, I think we'll stop there for the ones in class. Oh, actually, Manisha, we'll put Manisha's in as well. As I said before, when you focus on one part of grammar, sometimes other little things happen. Okay, there can be little mistakes sometimes that happen. So Nithu Bibin, okay, we've got a sentence from you, thank you. Let's have a look at these ones. Okay, so Mrs. Jones underwent surgery owing to her broken wrist. Superb. I'm very, very happy with that. We've got owing to, and what follows it? A noun. There's a noun for us. Very, very nice. Mrs. Jones had a surgery. I'm not really happy with a surgery.
No article.
I don't want an article. What could I put? If I wanted to use an article, what could I put there?
Operation. It's uncountable.
Yeah, surgery is uncountable, isn't it? Okay, so if I just put operation there, is that okay?
Yes,
an operation.
An operation. Thank you. It's a vowel sound, isn't it? Yeah. Owing to her broken wrist. I'm happy with that. That's great. Okay. Mrs. Jones. So Ms. Jones, we've changed her. Okay. Mrs. Jones has been underwent. Now, we've got a couple of different things here that could be a problem. First of all, you can't use undergo for a person in the passive. You can't say a patient has been undergone. That doesn't work. Okay, you can't make it passive. Surgery was undergone. That would be okay, but you can't do a person. So what would it be here? If I wanted to just turn this into the present perfect active, what would I do?
Is
undergoing.
Underwent.
No, okay, so I know that's a tricky question. Has undergone is what you'd have to put. So Mrs. Jones has undergone surgery owing to her broken wrist. Okay, I'm happy with that. Very good. Mrs. Jones had surgery owing to her wrist being broken. Wow, love it. Now, that's interesting because this is a passive gerund. Okay, now I think it would be easier to say to instead of being broken, owing to her breaking.
Broken.
Owing to her breaking her wrist. Yeah, we can do that. Now, it's much more common with owing to follow with a simple noun rather than a noun phrase. But you can still do it. It just sounds a little bit strange, doesn't it? Owing to her breaking. If you say her wrist being broken, it means somebody broke her wrist, not her. Okay, so Mrs. Jones had underwent. We don't need that, do we? Had there. Mrs. Jones underwent surgery owing to her broken wrist. That's nice, okay? All of these, okay? All of these are our noun phrases following. And Mr. Jones, again, we've changed the gender of this person. Mrs. Jones, again, has been underwent, has undergone, is what you'd say there for that one. Has undergone. Owing to, again, we've changed to a man, owing to her broken wrist. Okay, that sounds good to me. I think owing to is a nice phrase. Lakshmi, Mrs. Jones has been advised to undergo surgery owing to her broken wrist. Wow, I love that sentence. Nice bit of passive in there. Okay, and we've got her broken wrist, which is a noun at the end after owing to. Okay, so I think that we've got a good understanding of owing to. Now, what you're going to tell me now is, Paul, this is too easy. This is too easy. I didn't realize it was this easy, but it is. It's really easy. You just have to remember that a noun comes after owing to, and it's the same with as a result of. Okay, so let's just have a look at this here very quickly. We used up here before, we used being. Okay, owing to him being. So we're going to do that again right now with this one. So remember, the verb to be comes before obese. So we said before, Mr. Gardner. Tell me about Mr. Gardner again. Mr. Gardner
was encouraged.
Obese. Well, just a minute. He is obese. So let's just, we only did it very quickly there, but let's look at it a little bit closer. We said before that a gerund is the form of the verb with ing on the end of it, didn't we? Yes. So if I just look very, very quickly, if I enjoy going into the Atlantic Ocean, what do I do in the Atlantic Ocean?
Swimming.
Well, what do I do would be a verb, wouldn't it? I swim. Okay. But if I say I love, I can't say I love swim, can I?
Swimming.
Swimming.
It has to be I love swimming, doesn't it? So that is an example of where we use a gerund. Now, the gerund also follows prepositions, not the normal verb. So I wouldn't say this. I am afraid of flying. Because that's a bit confusing. What am I afraid of, guys?
Flying.
Flying.
Yeah. Well, am I talking about the bzzz flies? Or am I talking about a plane? Which one? It's confusing, isn't it? Sometimes a grammar error makes you think, oh, I don't know. What I really mean is this. I'm afraid of flying on a plane. When I get onto a plane, my hands are like this on the seat. Yeah. I'm afraid of flying. So what type of word is of?
Preposition.
Preposition. Yeah. Okay. So we're looking for this gerund. So if I say to you, Mr. Gardner is obese. Okay. That's fine. Why is he obese? And also, why has he been encouraged to reduce his sugar consumption? So let's talk about his sugar consumption. So I said before, Mr. Gardner has been encouraged to reduce his sugar consumption. Why?
Because he's
as a result of, now remember, we're going to use the object pronoun as a result of him being
encouraged.
Oh, little baby in the background there. Okay, so yeah, as a result of him being obese. So as a result of is that connecting phrase, and him being obese is going to go into blue. Object pronoun, the gerund, and then we're going to put that adjective. Now, it's not always it doesn't always end with an adjective. as we saw here. As a result, it could be here as a result of. So if I take the same one again and put this here for as a result of, what would it be?
Broken wrist. It's
So if I put Mrs.
Verb
Jones,
3.
okay, Mrs. Jones, give me a sentence, guys. 20 seconds on the clock. Now, anybody on Skype as well, 20 seconds. Tell me about Mrs. Jones with as a result of, please.
Mr. Jones went.
Mr. Jones had
Oh,
surgery.
wait a second. Okay, we've got time on the clock. Type it into the box, please. Okay, as a result of, that's what I want to see. Okay, and anyone in Facebook, guys, please do submit your sentences as well. Okay, now, Kat, classic error, I'm afraid, in there, classic error. Christina, I get a classic error for you as well, unfortunately. As we focus on some things, we forget other things. Yeah, we've got some issues here. I'm not sure what urgery is, but okay, as a result of, okay, so in each of these sentences, we're missing something. Okay, again, we're seeing the same classic errors come through here, guys. Now, everyone is getting as a result right, okay? But we've got other things going wrong, and I can see here in each of these sentences, there's a problem. So let's focus on each sentence. Mrs. Jones had, come on, Kat.
No.
No.
Yeah, Mrs. Jones had surgery as a result of her breaking her wrist. Now this I really like. Very good. Okay, we're not using being here. We don't need being. There's no verb to be. It's just her breaking her wrist. So we've got the object pronoun here. And this is not the object pronoun. It's the possessive adjective. So well done. So as a result of is there. Very good. Mrs. Jones undergone surgery. Now that doesn't work.
Underwent, yeah.
Well, there's two options, aren't there? We can say has undergone.
Yeah.
Or we can say underwent. So we're between, we would say in English, we're between two stations. Okay, so Mrs. Jones underwent surgery as a result of her breaking her wrist. Very good. Let's get the blue there. Okay, the blue is there. And as a result of can be in bold. Good linker. As a result of breaking wrist. Her wrist. Now, this is great. Okay, I really like this because we're putting this one at the beginning of a sentence. Now, you don't have to always put it at the end. You can put it at the beginning and follow it with a comma. Okay, that's really nice. I like that. She underwent surgery. Very good. There's our verb phrase at the end. Mrs. Jones, okay, has been undergone. Same as we saw before. Has been undergone. Has undergone. Yeah. Has undergone surgery. Sorry. As a result of her broken wrist. Okay. As a result of can go there. And her broken wrist. It doesn't have to be the full noun phrase there with the gerund in. It can just be the noun. Very easy. Okay. Mr. Jones has undergo surgery. Has undergone surgery. So no no undergo. Undergo is the infinitive, isn't it? Has undergone surgery as a result of. Now, again, if we say his wrist being broken, we are doing something a bit different there. I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? But what we're saying is that his wrist was broken by someone else or by some other situation. In this one, we're using active. Okay, we're saying that she broke her wrist, which is a common thing in the UK, in English. And this one, we're saying it happened to her. Now, both of them are fine. Both of them are absolutely fine. But this one is a bit more difficult, isn't it? Because you do have to put the verb to be with the passive. You have to put the verb to be in the ing. That's called the passive gerund, and we'll do that a little bit later on in the All Stars schedule. Okay, so
Paul, can I have a question?
Yes, you can.
Regarding the last sentence we are talking about, if we want to use this being broken, do we need to add by somebody to make the sentence more clear, or is it okay to just write like this?
Okay, so do you have to put by here? Is that what you're saying? No,
by
you don't
somebody.
have. You don't have to do that. No, because we would assume, looking at that it was broken in an accident. That's what we would think. We wouldn't think that it was her brother or it was a dog. Okay. If you put by, you would be doing that because you want to tell the other person exactly who did it or how it happened. You don't have to do it. So remember, that's one of the benefits, one of the uses of the passive is to focus on the action and not who did it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, so what I want us to avoid here, guys, is following with, and it's brilliant that people aren't doing that. I'm really impressed. Okay. Nobody is following as a result of with the verb phrase. This often happens. Mr. Gardner has been encouraged to reduce his sugar consumption as a result of he is overweight. I see that frequently in letters when we're doing marking. Okay. So this is something that we need to avoid. And it's not a difficult thing to learn. Okay. If we go back to the top. Okay. Let's just go back to the top. And just remember this. I know it looks like a lot of information, but we've elicited all of this together. With because and as, we're going to follow with just a normal verb clause, subject verb. When we use due to, as a result of, as a consequence of, owing to, or because of, we're going to follow with the noun phrases. All you need to do to be good at this, to make sure that you avoid it, making those mistakes, is learn how to use noun phrases, which you can do in grammar classes. And remember that these end with prepositions. Okay, these ones are with prepositions. So let's put those in red and in bold. These are prepositions. We have to use noun phrases with them. These ones are just nice, simple verb clauses like a normal sentence would be. So avoid making the mistake that people make, which is Anna is healthy as a result of she eats sandwiches. We don't want that as a result of eating sandwiches. Okay, so I've got a little bit of time. So why don't we? Let's just do a couple of exercises and then we'll go. So I've got 4 here, but let's have a look at 1. Okay, I'll put this onto a new page. And this is the same for everyone on Skype, please. Susan Francis, Rush Hospital, collapsed at home. I'm going to give you 30 seconds for this one. It's a bit more complex. So 30 seconds starting now. Type it into the chat box on Skype, post it into the box, type it in, and we'll have a look at some of these suggestions. Susan Francis, Rush Hospital, collapsed at home. Now we need some prepositions in here. Think about that tense. Okay, we've got a suggestion already. Okay, thanks, Kat. That's 30 seconds already, guys. Already 30 seconds, such a short amount of time, isn't it? Okay, Christina, thank you. Okay, do we have anything from Skype as well, please? Now you can use any of the linkers that you want. Doesn't have to be a noun phrase. You can use because if you want to. Nice simple one. Okay, so we've got Alv. No, sorry, that's a different one. Sorry. Susan Francis rushed to hospital because, okay. Now, Alexandra. Now, this is a bit strange, this one. A bit strange from Alexandra there. Okay, let's have Ords. Hello, Ords. Ords from Skype, from Facebook. That's good. Yeah, and then we've got another. I'm not sure who did this one, but it's a good sentence. So let's look at these ones. Okay, so Susan was rushed to the hospital because she collapsed at home. I love it. Very good. Because. Are we happy with she collapsed at home after because, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy with that, aren't we? That's a verb, just a nice verb clause to follow it. Susan Francis was rushed into the hospital because as she collapsed at home. Okay, we've got as. Yeah, again, nice and simple. We've got the verb clause there. That's good. As a result of collapsing. Wow. What do we think of that? Are we happy with as a result of collapsing?
Yeah.
Why are we happy with that, Christina?
It's a gerund.
It's a gerund, but why is a gerund appropriate here?
We have the of.
Of, yeah, which is a
preposition.
Preposition, brilliant, yeah. And we've got she was rushed, okay. Susan Francis, now this one's a strange one, Alexandra. Susan Francis rushed to the hospital because she collapsed at home. Now,
yeah, I think we need passive here.
Yeah, I think that will be better, yeah. Unless, it is possible, Alexandra, she collapsed earlier today. And then when she
got hospital,
she became conscious and decided to rush to the hospital. Yeah, okay. But I think it would be better was rushed. Yep, excellent. So we've got because, that's nice. And we've got a verb clause afterwards. That's great. Happy with that. Susan Francis was rushed to the hospital following a collapse at home. Now, notice, guys, that I don't like using following in this case. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. Now, a collapse, okay, I'm not saying that following is incorrect. In this case, it's fine. It is fine. But following doesn't actually mean a cause. I know that when we look at this, we think it's a cause. But how about this? Paul had a bath following the football match.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Akhtar. I am very hygienic. Okay. Yeah. So if we look at this, did I have a bath because of the football match? You might think that.
No.
Well, you could say Paul was dirty, so he had a football. And so he had a bath. Yeah, you could do that. But what if I said this?
After the football.
But that's a bit weird, isn't it? So did I have a glass of champagne because of the football match?
No.
No. So this is something that can happen sometime. In this case, it's fine. But what we're saying is that this happened after. You're absolutely right, Jasmine. She went to the hospital after a collapse at home. And in our minds, we say, well, if she was rushed to the hospital after a collapse, then she went to the hospital because of the collapse. But we've got to be careful. Sometimes this can cause mistakes. So be careful with this. I'm going to say that there. Be careful. Okay. It is a good sentence, but we've got to be careful with it. So a collapse at home is going to be a noun after following. All right. Susan Francis was rushed to hospital as she collapsed at home. Now, this is why I don't like using as so much. Okay. We've got a verb phrase there. But what can as also mean as well as? Because the same time. It's interesting. So this means that as she was collapsing, Mrs. Francis was going, oh, I'm collapsing, I'm collapsing. Somebody picked her up and started rushing her to hospital at the same time. Because you could say, Paul listened to music as he cleaned the car. Well, that means at the same time, doesn't it? So this is why I prefer not to use as. Okay, I think using because would be much clearer. Nobody makes mistakes with because. Everybody knows what it means. Okay, so look, we've got another 3 exercises on here. We've got all of this information about the document. If anybody wants to do a bit more practice, all you have to do is contact us for the PDF. I'm happy to download it. You can watch this class again loads of times on Facebook. There's no limit to it. And also, you can come and check us out